Hey, welcome back to Mom and Pop's Video Shop. As always, Joel.
And I'm Tyson.
That's right. And we are trying something new here. We're going to start bringing you our, what are we calling it again?
I already forgot, but it's something like weekly quick pick rental.
Movie recommendation. Like a movie rental quick pick. So we're going to grab something off the stacks. You've just walked into the video store. You're like, man, I don't know. I just want something horror, something action, something mystery, sci-fi, whatever. We're like, hey, we think we have something for you. So obviously you couldn't tell from the thumbnail or the title, so it'll be a surprise when you click on this video. All right, so for this particular week, all right, so for this quick pick movie, wow,
You're doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
We got it nailed.
All right, so for this week's movie recommendation, movie rental, quick pick, I'm going to take off the stacks a movie that may not be familiar to many of you. It is called Unmasked, Part 25. Unmasked Part 25 was directed by Anders Palm and probably stars people you have never heard of. It is a slasher comedy, for lack of a better way of putting it. It is one of those movies that for years and years I thought didn't exist and that I had imagined it because I was about 13 years old at Specs movie rental store in Winter Haven Mall, and I saw it in the shop. I'm about 13 years old, like I said, and I thought I was at that age where I knew Jason, I knew Freddy, I knew Michael, I knew all the big dogs, and I'd seen a lot of the sequels at that point. But I see this on there, Unmasked Part 25, and I thought it was literally some series I'd never even heard of, and this was Part 25 of the series. Right. And if you see the cover, it looks like it's like a Darkman movie.
I was going to say it totally looks like Darkman.
It has nothing to do with Darkman. And in fact, I watched it for the first time, despite being aware of this for the past, 35 years. I watched it for the first time the other day. And it's available on YouTube. We'll put the link in the description below. I believe Vinegar Syndrome also put out a video version of this. Really? If you can get it on VHS, though, it's definitely a VHS style movie. It is essentially a quirky, low budget, I'm assuming shot on 16 millimeter, meta before meta was a thing, horror movie. It has echoes with it, obviously, but even though it predates this movie by a lot, we talked about Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon not long ago. It has echoes of that, even though it's not a mockumentary. The main character is named Jackson, so shout out to Father and Son Watch Horror, and Jackson on that. It's a cold, cruel world, but Jackson can hack it. And while they show him with the sort of dark man bandaged up face on this, he actually, as you can tell from the back, and I'll be showing that on screen as we're showing this. He's wearing a hockey mask, but it's like the goalie hockey mask.
Yeah, it's not a Jason mask.
No, but it's totally meant to be a reference to that point.
That's the mask from the guy from, one of my favorite movies that we talked about, Jack Palance.
Alone in the Dark.
Alone in the Dark,
Yes, Alone in the Dark. And I will quick, I'm going to pull a Peter from Retro Movie Geek and read off the VHS box.
Yeah, he is.
So... pull a Peter. Wow, that's a whole other thing. Dude, this is on the freaking VHS box. Behind this mask, behind this mask is the disfigured face of a hideous human monster. The son of a psychotic serial killer, Jackson carries on the family tradition, brutally murdering everyone who crosses his path. Slaughter is his only passion until he meets Shelley, a beautiful blind woman. Her undaunted love for Jackson forces him to reconsider his rampage of senseless killing. Unmasked Part 25 is a tongue-in-cheek, axe in skull howl for comedy and horror fans. I don't know what that means. Jackson will have you shrieking with fear and laughter. Now here's the thing. I wouldn't say it's funny. I mean, it's one of those that's trying to be funny, but it's also weirdly not campy. Like, it's played totally straight.
Really?
Yeah. And so the first part of the movie, it goes full bore slasher. And it's like the practical effects are shockingly gory and effective. Like, I was surprised. Like, I'm thinking, okay, it'd be a little cheesy, campy, but it's not campy. Like, it's played straight. Like, the characters play it straight.
I was going to say the premise based on what you read, like, if it weren't a comedy, sounds awesome. The idea of the serial killer and the blind girl falling in love with him like that.
Yes.
To me,
and at one point, not to give anything away, but the first 15 to 20 minutes, there's like 4 or 5 kills, graphic ones, and then it knows that it has to shift gears to be the different thing it wants to be. And I will tell you, imagine if Jason at some point falls in love with a beautiful blind woman and talks with this very sophisticated sounding British accent. And when he takes off the mask, looks very Jason Voorhees-esque in that sort of, mutated sort of way. and then but has like that almost Shakespearean level. It's like that's what it is, dude. It's weird and it's awesome, and I'm all about it. So
what's the year on this again, Joel?
1988.
Okay.
So this is at like
way pre-meta, because he mentioned that. And I just wondered, I didn't catch the year.
Yes, it's definitely obviously predates, like Scream, obviously Behind the Mask, the Rise of Leslie Jordan. But you can see that there was that movie, was it Student Bodies, which is meant to be like a straight up like parody of the slasher. That came out in the very early 80s. This is weirdly, like, you could call this a parody, but it's more like a satire. Because it's in the same way Scream has humor in it, but it's not like overly campy, funny. This kind of does that too.
Okay.
Now, the acting, I think, is kind of over the top in some parts on purpose, but it's hard to explain. It never feels super, like the characters are aware. Like, that's what it is. It does that thing where the characters aren't aware. So if you love horror, you love weird, you love like things you've never really heard of, Unmasked Part 25, like I said, you can get the Vinegar Syndrome. Look up the VHS somewhere if you can find it. Again, it's not the easiest thing in the world to find. This particular copy was previously viewed, fully guaranteed, which is always great. It's a weird, quirky movie, but it's available on YouTube. I do know that, and we'll put the link in the description. This is my movie rental quick pick for the week for you, Unmasked Part 25. And for me, it is a 3-taper, at least, out of 5 tapes. It is I would have absolutely kept it for the weekend, possibly 4. It's like 3.5, because I could see keeping it maybe a day or two longer, just because honestly, almost like you're surprised at what you just saw and you want to revisit it. Yeah, you want to rewatch it. So it's a 3 to 4 taper for sure. And definitely worth checking out and picking up. So Unmasked Part 25, if you've ever heard of it, seen it, maybe you're from, I don't think it was direct to video in the UK when it came out. I don't think it had any theatrical release that I'm aware of. So, and also I think the original title, it's really weird because at the beginning of the movie, it starts with that title. It was like The Hand of Death or something like that, which ties in to the movies that supposedly this Jackson character is like part of, as he's known within that world. It's very weird. It's very weird, very unusual. So if you've heard of it, comments, let us know for sure. And remember, at Mom and Pops, our love of
Phantasm
never stops.
Boy.